Boss fights are meant to be fun, combining climactic character moments with a test of your skills in a glorious collision of gameplay and story.
Look out, boss. Take cover. There's a laser sight trained on your head.
See? Art in its highest form. When I say boss fights are meant to be fun though, I mean that boss fights are meant to be fun for us, the players. Seems like no one remembered to tell these bosses who are out here having the absolute time of their lives, despite the fact that we're actively trying to kill them. Allow us to introduce these 7 bosses who were having way more fun than you were. Enjoy, and beware spoilers for the following games.
If you get infected by one of the various viruses, parasites or mold cultures doing the rounds in the Resident Evil series, chances are you're not going to enjoy the process. This goes for everyone from the lowliest zombie to the big hitter bioweapons with more eyeballs than identifying facial features. It looks like a bad time, is what I'm saying. Not that you'd know it to look at Resident Evil 7 patriarch Jack Baker, however, who has taken to that game's zombifying mold like a duck to water. Maybe stay out of the water. You fight Jack several times throughout the game and he's practically giddy with excitement each time. Take the initial fight in the garage, for example, where he gleefully taunts you,
Get ready for it.
shrugs off being shot in the face,
It only ends one way.
and then just when you think you've bested him by running him over with a car, he peels the roof off and starts driving it himself, having the absolute time of his life.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take you for a ride.
How is Resident Evil 7 possibly going to top that, you probably went on to wonder, to which Resident Evil 7 answers, chainsaw fight.
Don't use your head.
I guess someone has to balance out what an absolutely miserable time Resident Evil 7 protagonist Ethan is having. And that person is Jack. Look at him go.
Oh, wow.
I warned you, short one. Now you face a foe more terrible even than I. The only other foe whom I have ever faced who bested me.
Hold, fiend! You'll walk not one more step toward the light of day, so long as I am here.
In the excellent roguelike dungeon crawler Hades, you play as Zagreus, son of the god of the underworld, who wants to escape from hell so he can visit his mum. To achieve this, you dash around the place hitting people with various cool weapons, smashing pots, and eating heroes.
Much better.
Which sounds pretty straightforward. The catch is that Hades is populated with bosses, most of whom are rock hard, some of whom are literal gods, and all of whom want to stop you getting out of the underworld, probably because they'll miss how cool and brooding you are when you're gone.
To hell with this place.
Although most of these bosses are pretty businesslike about trying to murder you, there is one boss who is clearly relishing the entire process of fighting Zagreus, and that boss is dead hero Theseus, of Minotaur fame.
A naked attempt to sway me from my convictions. Defend yourself, you blackguard, and may the gods show you some mercy, for I shall not.
It's a 2-on-1 fight because Theseus has teamed up with Asterius the Minotaur, his former rival but now close friend. Or am I sensing more than friends?
2 against 1. Seems hardly fair. Ah well. Let's kill him and be done, King.
Is this what people mean when they reference the ship of Theseus? Because I ship it. Anyway, while the Minotaur is content to just try and get the fight over with, Theseus is having an absolute whale of a time, playing to the crowd, throwing out dramatic, poetic insults, and generally showboating like the massive show-off that he is.
To all who came to see us fight, thank you.
He also calls on the power of the gods to aid him several times, which is fun as hell, and we should know because we thought only we were allowed to do that.
Lord Poseidon, aid me now.
It's impossible to get mad at Theseus for copying your moves, however, just because he's obviously enjoying himself and loving being the centre of attention. And you can't deny, the crowd adores him. You hear that, Bone Hydra? Would it kill you to put on a show once in a while?
Oh, great.
Honestly, no star power, that thing.
It's beautiful, but not yet finished. I am Stefano, and now you are my art.
For the most part, the people in The Evil Within 2 are having a rotten time of it, none more so than hero Sebastian Castellanos. Yep, a real case of the Mondays. But while most of the game's characters are experiencing a literal living nightmare, there is one exception to that rule. Something you'll discover when you enter this theatre that's filled with people who are restrained and have bags over their heads. Brings a whole new meaning to the term, a captive audience. This is all the work of Stefano Valentini, a man with a sharp suit, a stylish scarf, and the worst case of conjunctivitis I've ever seen.
If perseverance were an art form, you would be a master.
You want to get some topical cream on that right away. Serial killer turned artist Stefano's been thoroughly enjoying himself in the creepy imaginary town of Union, developing a particular brand of photographic art that involves capturing photos of his victims at the very moment of death. That's why when you confront him, he triggers explosive collars to detonate the heads of every single member of the audience in a shower of blood and gross brain bits.
Behold my latest creation. No!
I don't know much about art, but I know what I intensely dislike. While this is all extremely grim, Stefano himself is having a wonderful time.
Nothing like the corruption of innocence to spark the fire of creation.
And leads you on a merry chase through an abstract surrealist corridor floating in the void. Ripping off Salvador Dali now, are we, Stefano? I see how it is. Art is theft. Bad news for you, though, when you finally catch up with Stefano in his gallery, he makes it clear that his next masterpiece involves you dying in some horribly violent fashion or other, which is really the only thing that could make Sebastian's day any worse, and we can't be having that.
Still time. For one last photo.
Look on the bright side, Stefano. True art is never appreciated in the artist's lifetime. So, you're welcome.
Naniもんや。わしゃな、鬼人会中看板掲げさせてもらってる西谷ってもんや。
When I think of video game bosses who are having a lovely time, one of the first names that comes to mind is Goro Majima, the mad dog of Shimano from the Yakuza games, who you have to fight at several points throughout the series, and who is constantly doing wild stuff and cackling like a fairy tale witch. He'll sleep well tonight. If you've played the prequel game, Yakuza 0, however, in which Majima is a playable character, you'll know that he didn't invent this persona himself.
この間いいとこで邪魔が入るよった。ここで蹴りつけようやないの。キルちゃんや!
In fact, Majima adopted large parts of this persona from a Yakuza patriarch called Homare Nishitani, a man who is so far beyond having zero f***s to give that he's maxed out his overdraft, and now the bank has sent round the repo men. You fight Nishitani twice in Yakuza 0, and both times it's clear that this is the most fun he has had in ages, judging from the pre-fight banter.
真島君の流儀も大事や。けどわしもはよ、あんたとやり合わな。もう収まりつかんで。
Ew. Nishitani's fun continues in the actual fight, in which he's having a great time and doesn't even seem that bothered by having a knife kick through his leg. Despite taking the kind of beating that would land most people in the hospital for an extended stay in traction, Nishitani is ecstatic and hugely disappointed when the police show up, not because it means he's being arrested, but because it means he can't go for a second round with Majima.
ない。もう時間切れかいな。
That opportunity for a follow-up fight comes around later in the game when you visit Nishitani in his cell to get some important information out of him, but all he's interested in is reminiscing about how great your last fight was.
この前の殴り合いはほんまに楽しかったな。思い出しただけでもうっとりしてまうわ。
Ew. He then refuses to help you until you fight him again.
おとなしくはかんと今度は楽しい殴り合いで済まんことになるで。そんな言われると安心。ごっつい期待してしまうで、真島君。
Which of course happens, and Nishitani is once again having a brilliant time, despite this being an objectively terrifying deadly knife fight. Well, the character of Goro Majima makes a lot more sense now, so thanks, Nishitani, I guess.
キルちゃん、わしゃ嬉しゅうてたまらんのや。堂島の竜と直接やり合える。
Finally, 21 years after the game came out, we're comfortable with saying it. We reckon Wicked Witch Gruntilda in Banjo-Tooie isn't evil at all. She's just misunderstood. Take a look at her objectives. After being crushed under a rock in the first game and rotting away to a skeleton, her ultimate goal is something I can certainly relate to. She wants a new physique without putting any effort into diet and exercise. Instead, she's going to drain the life force of living things in order to give her a brand new body, using an enormous, elaborate, custom machine called Bob, which almost completely fills the room it's situated in. Probably still cheaper than a Peloton though. Really though, this is all a distraction from Grunty's true passion, which is apparently living out her dream of being a charismatic game show host. That's the only explanation for Tower of Tragedy, the surprisingly high concept and high budget game show she's organised. She's really gone all out, with podiums, buzzers, picture rounds and, for a bit of added peril, 1-ton weights suspended over the contestants that will flatten the losers. Somehow, still less mean than the weakest link. Even after this impressive bid to be the next host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, she simply can't suppress her love of trivia. In the final boss confrontation, where she's supposed to be marmalising you with an enormous drill tank, Grunty can't resist popping out of the hatch to dish out some more quiz questions. Come on, this is adorable. And after Gruntilda is defeated in this final boss battle, you're subjected to this horrifying cutscene of Banjo, Kazooie and friends cruelly playing football with Gruntilda's still living severed head. And you're still telling me she's the baddie?
Oh no. She's coming.
Oh, kept you waiting for so long. I know you want that encore ride.
Most of the boss fights in the Dead Rising series follow a pretty standard template. You come across someone who used to be a costumed mascot or clown or postman or whatever before the zombie outbreak, discover that they've gone mad and then beat them to death with some improbable improvised weapon while they try and run you over in their postman truck.
You will not bring down my postal service. You are going to pay!
It is a classic formula, and some of these bosses do seem to be enjoying themselves, especially the clowns. You know what they say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. For the boss having the best time of all, however, we turn to Dead Rising 2 and to BB Love, a cabaret singer who has, yes, gone mad, and wired explosives to her audience of 3 people that she is threatening to detonate if they leave before the show starts.
No! We're wired. If we move, they'll go off.
The twist here is that rather than the traditional Dead Rising boss fight in which you would wail on BB with a gun duct taped to a golf club or whatever, instead, she wants you to run a bunch of errands for her. These errands include fetching her a drink, dressing yourself in a tuxedo, and bringing in an audience of at least 15 people. Luckily, zombies will do for those audience members, and there's no shortage of those. As if it weren't enough that you've had to run yourself ragged doing errands for her in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, BB then appoints you as her stage manager, and you have to run the lights and pyro for her stage show, which means rhythm action stress for you and super fun showbiz glory for her. Still, if you succeed as stage manager, the deluded BB stage dives into her zombie mosh pit, and that's her defeated, in inverted commas, and the hostages saved. So, good job you! And you didn't even have to wail on her with a weapon.
It was all a lie. There's nothing wrong with you.
Nice of you to say, but you of all people should know there's plenty wrong with me.
As any comic book fan can tell you, Batman's greatest foe is the Penny Plunderer, a man named Joe Coyne who commits penny-themed crimes. Sadly, Penny Plunderer never made it into the Arkham games, so I guess we'll go with second place entry, the Joker.
Arkham City. I killed your girl. So pretty.
Joker is a surprisingly persistent villain in the Arkham series, despite, dying in the second one, and every time you face him, he's barely able to contain his glee at how brilliant it is to get your head kicked in by the Dark Knight.
It looks like I need to teach you some respect.
This makes more sense in the fight in Arkham Asylum because he's taken a bunch of Titan formula and is now the size of a mid-range tour bus, which has to inspire confidence.
Showtime, Batman!
But Joker is able to find the joy in any kind of fight, from challenging Batman to a one-on-one punch-up in Arkham City, then immediately reneging on the deal by calling in about 50 allies.
Hang on, did I say me? I meant me and these guys.
To the confrontation in Arkham Origins, in which he just takes a savage beating from the Caped Crusader.
You like the way it feels. It's what you need.
To their last encounter in Arkham Knight, where you get to fight about 20 Jokers at once, thanks to Scarecrow's fear toxin. Of course, this video is about bosses that are having more fun than you, which isn't hard when the you in question is Batman, who wouldn't know fun if he ran it through the Batcomputer, analysed it for fun particles, and then used its DNA sequence to synthesize a file of fun, which he then injected into himself. But still.
Now that's not funny.
Hey, we did it! Another classic 7 Things list brought to you by me and Outside Xbox, which is the YouTube channel you're watching right now. If you'd like to support us, then please drop us a like and maybe a subscribe. And also, if you hit the bell notification button, you will be reminded every time we publish one of these videos, which is every single week on a Thursday. If you'd like to watch some more of these videos, well, we've been doing it for quite a long time. There are in fact hundreds of videos like these. Go check out one of them on the playlist, which is linked on screen right now. Have a good time with them until next week, when I will see you once more. Bye!